Hello, welcome one and all to episode 121 of A Stitch in Time. Today is Tuesday, December 3rd, 2019. My name is Carol. I am known as Knitsnpurls on Ravelry, and I'm coming to you from the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada. A huge welcome and hello to any new viewers who might be checking out the podcast for the first time. I hope you like what you see and that you'll be back. And of course, hello to all of you returning viewers. Thanks so much for coming by once again to spend some time with me. I also would like to say thank you to all of you who reached out to me this past week. I always appreciate hearing from you, and I'm pretty sure I've gotten back to everyone. Have a lot to talk about this week. I've got the winners to announce for both the Elsa Socks Knit Along and also the Caribou Fall Socks giveaway. I have another giveaway to talk about. This one's not from me. I have a finished project and a whole bunch of works in progress, I should say. So settle in. I think it's going to be a long one. Before we start, I'll just talk a little bit about what I'm wearing. I wasn't actually wearing a sweater till about an hour ago, and then I got really chilled. We have a kind of a dark, gloomy, wet day here today, and I just got chilled and went down to the dresser where I keep all my sweaters, looking for one that might match the t-shirt I was wearing. And lo and behold, I found this Winter Weeds cardigan that honestly I'd kind of forgotten I owned. I finished knitting it just under 4 years ago. It is a pattern by Katya Garbacheva. Looks quite simple, plain in front. I knitted out of Cascade 220 Heathers, but I don't remember the colorway number. It's on my project page. Anyway, looks very plain in front, but all the action is in the back. It's got this beautiful textured pattern. Looks like weeds in winter, I guess, is the inspiration. So as it turned out, it was not only perfect because of the color being kind of a periwinkle, light periwinkle blue, it also matched the shirt I was wearing, because this is all like trees in winter. So worked on both counts. Pardon me. So I'm going to talk about the winners for the Elsa Knit Along. Big thank you to all of you who participated. I appreciate your support, not only in knitting up my pattern, but also in taking part in the knit along and supporting each other through the process. So there were 2 threads, a finished projects thread and a chatter thread. So there were 3 finishers, and I wrote their names down on these pieces of paper with the intentions of drawing your name on, on like live as I was recording. However, I went then to the chatter thread and used random number generator to pick a winner. And the winner was number 11, Cats 6, who's Jackie. And so Jackie, you do win one of these project bags that I made. It's perfect size for a sock project, and it's decorated with this fun sock print. The thing is Jackie is one of the 3 people who finished a pair of Elsa socks. And the rules are you can only win 1 prize. So what I decided is, rather than pick one of the remaining 2 winners, rather than pick one of the 2 remaining finishers, I decided to award both of them a bag too. So they are SCC, who is Susan, and TP Mom, who is Treva. And actually Treva is the one who sent me the yarn that inspired my Elsa socks design. So it seems quite fitting that she should win something in this knit along. So I have 2 bags that are identical, that have the yellow ties and yellow pockets inside. But one of you I will send almost the same, except it has blue ties and it has just a striped pocket on the inside. So I hope you'll be happy with that, whoever gets that one. So the three of you, please send me your mailing info to send me a private message on Ravelry to Knitsnpurls, and I will get those in the mail as soon as I can. Of course, with holiday shipping right now, I can't guarantee how quickly you will receive it, but I will do my best to get it out to you very quickly. So thanks again to all of you who did take part in the knit along, and congratulations to Susan, Treva, and Jackie for winning. So now I will do the giveaway for the Caribou Fall socks. Thanks so much for all of your kind comments about them. Random number generator drew number 7, who is A. Cliff. That stands for A Canadian Living in Finland, and that is Shirley. I've conversed with Shirley in the past. That's how I know that. So congratulations, Shirley. Please, or I will, let me know you saw this, just so that I can surprise you this way. And then once I hear from you, I will gift you a pattern on Ravelry. Now Shirley mentioned in her comment, she also mentioned the sunset shawl that I had been talking about during that episode, last week's episode. And she said she was wondering how it might look in Hudson's Bay Company colorways. I think that would be a really neat idea too. I think some of the colors that I had is probably what made you think of that, because it's sort of the bright primary colors, and then I think there's a black stripe. I know there's red and yellow, blue or green, can't remember. Anyway, I think that would look quite cool. Okay, so I have one more giveaway to talk about. I was contacted by Yarn Canada, asked if I would pass on the message that they are holding their 3rd annual yarn giveaway for charity knitters. So they are partnering up with Bernat and Peyton's, giving away $2,000 worth of yarn to 12 different charitable individuals and or groups. So the details and the application form are at yarncanada.ca/for-good. I will put that address right here. I'll also provide a link in the show notes. They are awarding one $500 prize to a Canadian group of charitable knitters, one $500 prize to an American group of charitable knitters, and also 10 $100 prizes to a Canadian or American individual or groups of charitable knitters. And the deadline to enter for that is December 31st of this year. So if you are a knitter that knits for charity, or if you are part of a group that knits for charity, this might be something you're interested in seeking out. So by all means, go to that link and enter your name. It's for a good cause for sure. Hi, it's Carol from the future, just popping in here to say that I forgot to mention that I've opened up a new thread in the Ravelry group. I think I called it something like Holiday Projects. I'm doing Vlogmas, so you get to see what I'm up to on a regular basis, but I want to know what you're making this time of year. It could be any craft: sewing, knitting, crochet, macrame, tie-dye, baking. I'd love to see what you're doing. So come by the Ravelry group and post a pic of what you're working on this December. Okay, back to the regular podcast. All right, finished projects. You want to know something ironic? I just looked down in my notes here, and it says finish projects without the D. So how's that for, I'm adding the D. It's now finished. Couldn't write this stuff, could you? My candy cane socks are done. just in time to be wearing for the lead up to Christmas. So this is the West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply in the Candy Cane colorway, which is $9.89. And then the red heels and toes are the same yarn in 510 Cayenne Pepper. So I did a 64 stitch top down sock with a short row yarn over short row heel and my typical rounded toe. So these socks are for me, and I will put them into the Christmas sock rotation right away. I'm not even going to bother washing them first. Usually I'll wash and block them, just honestly just to take better pictures, but I think I'll just wear these and then I'll worry about photos and blocking, or once I I'll block them after I wash them for the first time, and then I'll get a better photo. So these were really fun to knit. I think anytime you're knitting stripes, it's it's a way of marking your progress, right? So yeah, those are great. I just realized that my first work in project that I want to talk about is out in the living room. So I will be right back. All right, I am back. So the project I want to talk about now is Granito by Joji Locatelli. So last week I told you that I had completed the whole sweater body once, tried it on, found it too loose for my liking, and so I had taken it back to sort of the bust line and done a few decreases along the sides of each, the front and the back, up until the point where I divided for the pockets, and hoping that I'd be happier with the fit. So since I spoke to you last, I have completed the whole body, including the pockets, and I am definitely much happier with the fit. I had tried to hold it up and show it to you, but I just looked shapeless and couldn't really see. So I've put it on over my t-shirt. I'm just going to move this ironing board back so I can stand up and show it to you. So I hope you don't get motion sickness. In order to show it to you, I do have to cut off my head, but that'll give you a better idea. So as you can see, there's some shaping from the bust down into the pockets. And so even though it's not tight fitting, it's also not super loose. And the pockets fit nice and flat here. I'm actually really pleased with how the pockets turned out, even though they were kind of a pain in the neck to do. So that gives you an idea how that's coming along. So I'll bring it back in and then I'll talk about the sleeves. So as I suspected, by the time I had finished the whole body and the pockets, I was pretty sure I wouldn't have enough yarn to finish the sleeves. I only have just over a skein's worth of yarn left over from two different skeins. And I'm sure that's not enough to complete two full-length sleeves. So I have ordered another skein of yarn, and in the meantime I have picked up the sleeve along one side, done a row, and when my skein arrives, then I will continue alternating 3 different skeins of yarn down each sleeve so that I can blend the colors as well as possible. So I have high hopes for this sweater. I just have to be patient and wait for the yarn to arrive before I can finish it up. So I'm going to go slip this off, slip my other sweater back on, and I'll be right back again. All right, fixed my clothes, fixed my hair. Oh, speaking of hair, I can't stand my hair right now. I so badly need a haircut, but I wasn't able to get in until this coming weekend, so I just can't wait to get some of this thick stuff up here trimmed off. Oh, it's December, so I'm allowed to use my Christmas cups. That's my own rule. I don't like to rush Christmas. So we never put up Christmas lights before December 1st, and I started wearing my Christmas socks, and I've started drinking out of my Christmas cups. It's actually a bit cold. I should have warmed it up when I had the camera off. I may do that yet. So it is December, and that means the beginning of some Advent projects. I've been really excited about them. Way back at Knit City a couple of months ago, my first purchase was the Cozy Knitters 2019 Advent striped skein, 24 different color stripes. And so I waited until December 1st to open it because I wanted to be surprised. And it came in two 50-gram skeins that are identical. So I've wound them up, and I'm working on 2 socks at a time on 2 different needles. So, they're all twisted up here. I'm keeping them in this winter Christmas themed bag that I made, I think, a couple of years ago. Love this one. That might show it better. I think the light was in the wrong place on the other side. These are all twisted up. So here is what this skein looks like, all wound up. And my goal is to knit 1 to 2 stripes a day. When I wound the yarn up, I counted 24 stripes, and then I think I counted 21 more of the sequins. So there's not a full 48 stripes, which is too much for my size anyway. But in order to be able to have a pair of socks by Christmas, so I'm just putting a couple stitches on that have slipped off. In order to have a pair of socks by Christmas, I need to knit more than 1 stripe a day. So I'm sort of setting up to do 1 to 2. Okay, that one I'm putting down because I'm going to need a little more time to pick up those stitches. Don't want you to have to sit and wait while I do it. So here's the first 4 stripes. So I did 1 by 1 ribbing for the cuff, which, as I was saying on my Vlogmas episode yesterday, I have no idea what possessed me to knit 1 by 1 rib. I so rarely do. I just kind of was on the second sock and realized I was doing 1 by 1, and then I went, I hope I did 1 by 1 on the other sock too, and sure enough I had. So usually I do 2 by 2. Anyway, it's fine. It will be just fine. And then I've just done 1 stripe in stockinette. So as I say, I do have 2 on the go. I just need to pick up about 4 stitches that have slid off the needles, and I don't want to disturb them any more than that. So if you're following my Vlogmas, you will see a little bit of these knit up every day. Otherwise, I will give you update on my next episode here. So that is fun, and the stripes aren't so large that they're not sort of doable 1 or 2 in a day. Plus, you don't have to wait too long for the next color to pop up, which is also fun. Okay, I'm gonna go warm up my tea, and I need to go grab a pattern that I'd forgotten. I thought I was prepared for podcasting today, apparently not as prepared as I should have been. Be right back. I have another Advent project that I want to talk about. Last week, I think I showed you this bundle of fun. It's from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. It is her 2019 Holiday Harmony Mini Collection. And in each one of these little packages is a 10-gram skein of yarn for a total, of course, of 240 grams. And so my original thought was that I was hesitant to do a shawl because I wasn't sure what kind of colors I'd be getting and didn't know if they would all go together into something I would want to wear. So as part of Helen Stewart's knit vent this year, she had this habitation throw, and it's a pattern made also for minis, and I thought this would be perfect. Except that I wanted it to be larger than the finished product that she had. And then I realized I had 4 different skeins of leftover Fiber Nymph Christmas yarn from different socks I've knit over the past couple of years. And what I thought I would do is work these yarns in 2. So I had leftover sock blank from last year, and a couple of striping colorways, and then also from another sock blank, some leftovers. This one was wound up, so it looks really funny. So that was the plan. And so then on day 1, I opened this beautiful silvery gray yarn, and so I cast on and started the blanket. And you know there's a story, right? Because this isn't on the needles. And then day 2 was this beautiful gray, purpley, and blue yarn, and I thought, oh, that looks really nice next to each other. And I thought, what if all these colors go together, and then something like this will be really jarring? So I mentioned that on my Vlogmas episode yesterday, and Angela very kindly commented on my on the YouTube comments, and she said, you know, we had a letter that came with it. You might, I don't want to spoil you, but there is some explanation on the letter that came with the skeins, and that might help make up your mind. And I just felt really foolish, because I did get the letter, but for some reason it was folded like this, and I only read that part of it, which tells you what's in your package as far as what types of yarn you had ordered. I'm not sure why I never unfolded this, and I've treated this as though this was the only information. So sure enough, I flip it over, and it's a little about the colorways in this collection. And it proceeded to talk about how basically they all will go together, that the first skein has something in common with the second skein, which has something in common with the third skein, and so on. So it is suitable for a type of shawl or scarf project or cowl. And so I'd already been having second thoughts about adding in all this Christmas yarn, but then I knew that the throw wouldn't be as large as I wanted it to be, and so that made my decision easier. I decided to take out the harmony, or the habitation throw, and to start a Advent scarf project. So I chose the Adventurer Scarf and Wrap by Amba O'Brien. This, I think, was her Advent design from last year. So this is a picture of the shawl, which is a chevron lace pattern, and it's done in such a way that it creates a diagonal, 2 diagonal ends. What was that word that I was struggling with that in the Dunes wrap? Was it a parallelogram? Here we are, back to that. Similar also to the, oh, I'm going to forget that one too. Don't worry about it. Anyway, there is a shawl version and a scarf version. There's the scarf. It is, or sorry, I guess this is the scarf here. In order to do the shawl, they call for 60 yards in each skein. They're only about 40 to 43 in each of the skeins that I have, and the scarf calls for 35 yards. So I figured I'd play it safe and just do the scarf. I considered adding an extra pattern repeat and having it slightly wider, but I realized I actually like the width that it's knitting up to, so I scrapped that idea. So, last night I cast on the scarf, and I have knit through the first color, and I'm about halfway through the second. And this morning I opened up day 3, and it is this combination of gray and purple. And as you can see, that is going to go very nicely with the color beside it. So I am really happy with my decision. I think this is going to be a beautiful scarf. It's also more interesting knitting than the habitation throw, which it's a fine pattern. There's nothing wrong with it. It's very similar to the construction of Grandma's favorite dishcloth. So if you're familiar with that, you cast on a few stitches and then you increase every row so that you end up with sort of a diagonal, like a triangle, and then you start decreasing back to the point here. So you end up with a big square, essentially. It's a little nicer than that. It has some eyelet lace and it has an I-cord edge, which is really nice, actually. Finishes it off beautifully. You can see that here. So it's definitely a pattern I will use in the future, and I'll just use some leftover sock yarn because I have lots and lots of sock yarn scraps. Whoops. Yeah, there you go. But I'm really happy with having switched up there. So I'm a little bit behind because I haven't finished yesterday's color and I haven't wound up or started knitting with today's color, but I will do that this evening. So super pleased with how this is coming out so far. It's definitely a good decision. And I'm storing this in this Christmas bag that I made, again, a year or two ago, can't remember. I had to kick another project out of it, but that's okay. I gave that one another lovely bag to live in. It's another shawl that I haven't worked on since last year. Speaking of shawls I haven't worked on since last year, I did also pull out my longest night shawl. That is a pattern by Lori Law, and I began this 2 years ago. I had acquired this yarn and pattern a long time ago, back near when it first came out. I'm not sure what year that was. And finally, a couple of years ago, I cast it on. And it's funny because I was doing show notes and went to the project page, and I put on my project notes something like, I'm casting this on the winter solstice. It'll take me a year or 2 or 3, however long it takes, something like that. Well, we're now into its 3rd Christmas season, and I've only, whoops, don't lose those stitches. This far along. Here, let me spread it out. It's a triangular shawl. So I have that much done. So really not that much in this scheme of things. But that's okay. It's a project to work on when I feel like it. Maybe that gives you a better idea up close. You can see the yarn is this beautiful merino silk lace weight, and it's this same kind of, you know, bluey periwinkle shades. I just love it. It's also in a chickadee bag. This one has little deer at the bottom. And I love this inside, like a toile with deer and trees. So I still have a long ways to go. It's a large shawl. This yarn is by Willy Wonka. Let's see if I have the label here. Yep. Willy Wonka Fibers. It is a 50 merino, 50 silk. And the colorway is Solstice. Says I have 1,500 yards, 145 grams is what's there. So yeah, I've got a long ways to go, but that's okay. Maybe it'll be 4 or 5 or 6 years. Doesn't matter. It's just a neat project to take out at this time of year and work on. And whoops, I'm all twisted here. I guarantee by the next winter solstice, coming up in a few weeks, I'll have a little more done. So there we go with that. So I'm not actually going to bunch it up in my bag. When I pulled it out, my needles were all twisted and kind of a mess to work with. So I've since softened the cords in some hot water, and I don't want to shove it back in this bag and have them bunch up again. So that is most of the projects I've been working on. Whoops. Hopefully I didn't jiggle things there. I have one more to talk about. Oh. It's also out in the living room. I'll be back. I had this project in here before, but then I had some time to kill before lunch, and so I pulled it back out to work on it and then forgot to bring it back in. This is called the F bomb. And you can see it's a bomb made out of yarn that has an F on it. I am making these. I say these because I'm making at least 2 at the request of my son. He and his girlfriend were at his girlfriend's aunt and uncle's place this summer, and he texted me a picture of one and said, "Can you make these for us? They're really fun. We've been throwing them around." And so I didn't want to commit to making it right then and there, so I said, well, maybe you'll find one in your stocking. And so I decided I better get on that. So I did start yesterday. I'm just using this acrylic black yarn I had bought for a different project. It's from Loops and Threads called Impeccable. It's an Aran weight, I think. And basically what you do is you make a ball out of yarn, and then before you narrow it down to do this top part, you stuff it. Then you add a little crocheted white chain of yarn there for the fuse, and then after it's done you Kitchener or duplicate stitch an F on it. There are quite a few different patterns on Ravelry, a lot for crochet, which is actually the kind he had showed me, but I prefer to knit. And so this particular one is a free pattern by Jennifer Spot Rank. I'm not enjoying it, I'll be perfectly frank. It's not my kind of knitting. I don't really enjoy toy knitting. I don't really like knitting black yarn. I find that hard to see. It's acrylics, there's no give, but it's not difficult. I think the fussiest part is going to be doing the duplicate stitch for the F. I also need to go out and buy some stuffing. I don't seem to have any anywhere, but I have basically passed the halfway mark of the ball, and I'm starting to decrease now. It's not going to take a long time. I started this yesterday afternoon and did a few rows before I had to leave to go curling, but it's coming along. I should be able to do, I'll do, like I say, at least 2, one for Matt, one for his girlfriend's stuff, and maybe I'll do a third for the cat to play with. I don't know, but there you go. The things you do for love, right? All right, so let me take another sip here. So as far as other kind of Christmas knitting goes, now that I've finished my candy cane socks, I need to cast on another pair of plain stockinette socks. So I am going to use the original West Yorkshire Spinners Christmas color. This is Holly Berry. I guess holiday color is a better way of putting it. Not everyone celebrates Christmas, of course. And then I will again use the cayenne pepper for heels and toes. So I'd like to get those cast on soon so that I have a pair of plain socks that I can just pick up and put down easily. And then also I have my brother-in-law Joe's name for Christmas, and I had texted my sister the other day and said, because I didn't have my brother-in-law's cell phone number, so I just texted my sister and said, Joe has my name, I have his name, here's what I'd like, can you get him to get me some ideas? Maybe some slippers? Question mark. And she texted back to say, oh, he just bought himself a pair of slippers, but I'll get him to send you some ideas. So I thought, oh good, I don't have to knit any slippers for Christmas this year. And then a little while she texted back, Joe says he'll never turn down a pair of your slippers. And so guess what? I am knitting a pair of felted slippers for Christmas this year. So it's this pattern. If you've been watching for any length of time, you have seen that I've knit these multiple times. They're a big hit with various people in my family, including myself. In fact, I have my pair on right now. I wear them around the house all the time. And so I've pulled out some yarn to make them, so I will, I'm not sure if this is upside down or not. I don't know where this label is, doesn't matter. It's Peyton's Classic Wool Worsted, and this will be the color of the upper, and that will be for the sole and the contrasting band. So yeah, they won't take me long once I get started. This is a pattern I always say I really love the results. I'm kind of tired of making them, but once I get down to it, I can do them over the course of 2 or 3 days just by working on them sort of part-time. So I will be doing that. So between that and the F-bombs, I've got a couple of Christmas gift projects, knitting projects that I can kind of pick up and put down as I see fit. And then I am going to be sewing some Barbie clothes for my granddaughter. She's getting Barbies this year. That's her new thing. And so I decided to sew up some clothes. I used to have a whole whack of Barbie patterns, and I think I've passed them along to my mom, and I won't be seeing her in time before Christmas. So I actually tracked down a couple of new ones. One has arrived, one hasn't. So this is Simplicity 4719. I will not make everything on there, but I'll make some of those. I used to sew Barbie clothes all the time, and I haven't for a while, so I'll have to see what fabric I have still that's suitable. I'm down to sort of one big box of fabric scraps, and a lot of them are cottons. So we'll see. I'll put something together. At the moment, she's actually way more interested in the shoes than the clothes, but I know that will change as she gets a little bit older. She's just about 5 now. So yeah, that's what's up and coming in the next little while. So I should be able to have a good balance of knitting for me and knitting and making for others. Shouldn't be too crazy. And this year we're not hosting either Christmas or brunch. It's our year off, and so I don't really have a lot of pressure to get the house sort of to any state of perfection or anything, so we can kind of decorate at will, and should be a fairly mellow lead up to the holidays this year. Now I say that, hopefully that's how it will go. As I mentioned last week, I've got a lot of my shopping well in hand, so that helps too. Other than just normal stuff like living and housework and curling, there's not been much going on this week. As I mentioned, I've got my Christmas cups out now. This is one of them. I have another one from David's Tea that I use regularly. And then we have a whole assortment of mugs that we've collected over the years. Also enjoying wearing my Christmas socks. So my goal is to wear a pair of Christmas socks every day until Christmas. I'll just have to make sure I keep up with the washing. And then, as I also mentioned, I am doing Vlogmas again this year. I've got 2 episodes up so far, and I've got today's partly recorded. And so that's a way to kind of keep an eye on my day-to-day progress on some of these projects. I know it's not everyone's thing, so I will continue to put out regular episodes in December, and then you can catch up all at once in those. So I think that is it for this week. I hope you are well wherever you are. The East especially, well, not just the East, because I heard from Susan, who's in Colorado, a lot of places got a lot of snow over the last weekend and even continuing into this week. We had a very light dusting Sunday evening and a little bit Sunday overnight. Woke up to light rain on Monday morning, and I think it's all gone. I can't remember. I know yesterday at some point the garden still had snow on them, but I'm pretty sure it's gone now. We only got just a light dusting, just enough to look pretty, not enough to mess up the roads or anything like that. But as often happens here on the West Coast, is our snow is followed by rain. And that's exactly what's happening now. We're expecting rain for the next week or so. So kind of dreary. I was enjoying those cold, clear, sunny days that we had last week. A lot colder, but a lot prettier to look at. Now it's just gray and gloomy out there, but at least it's cozy inside here, and it's just part of where I live. Nothing I could do about it, so I should just stop complaining, right? We'll appreciate the water in the summer. There. Always try and look on the bright side. I think on that note, I will say goodbye for this week. So take care, stay warm or stay cool, depending where you are. I know those of you in the southern hemisphere are right in the middle of summer. Did I mention that my niece a couple months ago has gone to Australia? She has a 2-year work permit, so we'll see if she's going to stay that long. So she'll find Christmas very different this year, being in such a hot climate over Christmas time, over the holidays, but I'm sure she's having a ball. Anyway, enough about that. Take care. I will see you next week. Thanks for watching.